Good morning, everyone. I'm going to give a couple minutes for folks to jump on, and welcome to another session of Training Tuesdays, week 7. Thanks, folks. Couple minutes. Good morning, everyone. This is Sarah Deitch. I'm a customer success manager with Skybits. On behalf of myself and the entire Skybits team, we want to welcome you to week 7 of Skybits Training Tuesdays. Weeks 1 through 6 are available on the Skybits YouTube channel. So if you do utilize YouTube, please go to the Skybits YouTube channel just by typing in Skybits in the search and subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it. Not only are the Training Tuesdays videos available on the Skybits YouTube channel, but we have many other videos that are worth giving a look. So please subscribe to Skybits on the YouTube channel. And in the help section on Insight, you can also find the Training Tuesdays videos, and I'll be reviewing that once we get into our presentation. I'd like to thank everyone who's been coming for a majority of the sessions. Again, we're on week 7. This has been super successful thanks to you, our customers. And to the new attendees, welcome. I hope this provides some information that maybe you never knew or have some reviews sections that you haven't explored yet. So I would like to welcome everyone, new and returning attendees. The intent of the trainings is to provide as live as possible demonstration environment with as few PowerPoint slides as possible. I have a few today just to show you some results of some of the information on the sections that we'll be reviewing. A few housekeeping items that we go over every week. We have everyone muted, so we don't have any background noise. I might have some background noise though, so please be prepared just in case. But I'll try to keep that down to a minimum. If you have muted yourself and want to ask a question later, you must unmute yourself. So we can't unmute you if you've done that on your own. We have muted everyone though. So just remember, if you click that mute button and you have a question later, want to ask something or make a comment, you have to unmute yourself. And we have, of course, factored in time for question and answer. You can type questions in the chat. You can type questions in the question section, Or as I mentioned, of course, you can raise your hand. There is a raise your hand functionality in the GoToMeeting that you can use to raise your hand and then ask a question out loud. All sessions are being recorded and they will be available for playback via the SkyBits YouTube channel, as I've already mentioned. And they're also, as I mentioned, going to be in the help section once the video is completed. Today, we're going to be discussing how to identify and secure your assets in the device profiles, panic operations, paging, and lockdown sessions. It sounds like a lot of information at once. Truly, it is not that much, but I do believe that most people have not really ventured into those sections. So we will do that, and let me get right to Insight. I am in the Contact Assets Home section right now. So that's the section that we're going to be primarily spending our time in today when we discuss device profiles, panic operations, paging, and lockdown. So these are all different items based off of the same thing, based off of your device's reporting. You want to soup it up. You want to make it have some sort of accommodation, right? So if something is in lockdown, that's going to have to do with your landmarks. Panic operations are going to make your group of devices report multiple times. And device profile changes you can make right here on Insight. Of course, there are some stipulations and you do have to manually interact with the website, but I think most people probably don't go into this section, so it's good that we're going to hit this now and talk about it. And let's get into it. So an important distinguishing feature of the SkyBits network is that it is bi-directional, right? So we can talk to the devices as well as the devices giving us information back. So not only do you receive the position reports and sensor events from your assets, but you can also obtain asset position and sensor updates on demand from your desktop, from the Insight portal. In an emergency situation, you can set a device temporarily to high frequency reporting from your web browser. So profiles, let's get into this here, contact assets and profiles. There are a lot of drop downs once we get to the profile section, so we're going to kind of go through them one at a time. In the demonstration site, I can't always complete the transaction, but I'm going to go over everything as best as I can, utilizing some PowerPoint slides in addition to doing some live clicking and discussion. So profiles. This functionality enables you to quickly view and or change the operating configuration of your devices. So when you're sent devices from SkyBits, they're programmed. Our customer care team programs them and then they're placed into your account. So every device has a profile that it's set with. So you're able to change those. And why would I do that? So I would want to do that because I'm carrying a high value load, or I have a high maintenance customer that needs, more tending to. So let's go to that. So this screen looks kind of familiar. Everywhere we go throughout Insight, there's a way to get to the assets that you want to look at, or a group of assets that you would like to look at, or make changes to, or filter. So when we want to change a profile, we have asset ID, we have a mobile terminal serial number option, group name. Again, we created groups a few weeks ago in order to show you where that will affect your account overall. Remember, when you put assets in groups, you're then able to perform functions on that group as a whole versus having to go one by one or to list them, separating them with commas. So when you're working with a group, you really have an ability to do a mass change or view or whatever it is that you're doing at that time. So again, I'm always going to pitch creating groups. That would be what makes most sense to you. And I think in a consultative manner, our customer care department, and if you have a customer success manager, can work with you on why you would put your assets into groups, but at your business, why would it make sense to do that? And then we would discuss that with you. But we did shoot a video on how to put them into groups again earlier, and we'll look at that in the Training Tuesdays dropdown. So let's take a look at here. You can start typing in. I do have a number that I want to look at. And I'll put this in here. And we'll go next. Oops. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm always doing that. You have to make sure you hit the right radio button. Okay. And I did. Give me 1 second. Sorry, folks. Might be because there was a space at the end. Okay. So this is a lot in one page, right? So we're looking at a specific asset ID or a specific serial number. When we are looking at waking up and reporting, we have different information that we need to consider. And let's take the next wake up time. If I click this, anything, and I talk about this every week, anything that's hyperlinked will be blue and you're able to click on it. Do not be afraid to click on things. You just click on them. That's how we learn how to use them. Next wake up time is at 8 p.m. So if it was tomorrow, it would say the next day at that time, but it's 8 p.m. today. So it's letting me know when this device is going to wake up next. Most of the devices as they come to you do have a reporting schedule that includes some sort of motion, right? So we're looking at them every 15 minutes on motion. We're looking at them every 30 minutes on motion. All devices will check in if they're not moving though. So when a device is not moving, what it'll do in this situation is it'll wake up and check in every 7 days. It'll say, I'm here, still at the same place. So there's really no need to check in on it if it's not moving around. So this has a reporting profile of every 7 days. If I want to select new wake up or new reporting profiles, I would do that right down here. So this is last changed was when it was initially set up. So if I don't want to change the wake up, but I do want to change the new reporting, I can do that. So I want to set to custom interval every 2 hours, custom profile duration. How long do I want this custom profile applied to this device? This is important because if you, and we don't allow you to keep it indefinitely, so you must select the duration. But when you have a shorter profile frequency of reports, so when the reporting is closer, it may affect the battery life of the device, especially any kind of solar devices or anything that's, well, untethered. If the tether isn't applied correctly, it could affect the performance of that battery. So we're looking at reasons to change these, right? So I want to change this because I need to see it more frequently for a time frame. What that reason would be, again, as I mentioned, high value client, high value load. What do I want to look at? This group, this asset for this duration or this time. So I would set my duration, or I can end any temporary profiles here as well. And the sensor state, any state or when it's idle, meaning not moving, or when it's moving, right here, moving. And then I can select new reporting. 4 reports per day, 6 reports per day. Again, you're affecting the battery life. If the higher you go per day, 22 reports per day, I'm really looking at something because there's something going on with it. Custom profile duration, again, I must select a duration here. And then if I'm trying to end the temporary profile, then I would use this. So motion would be idle or moving or any. And then at the bottom, again, it's going to remind us high frequency wake up and or reporting profiles can significantly impact mobile terminal battery life, which is something we don't want to do. Battery life is super important. Our solar devices, you know, they're getting charged by the sun, and any over reporting, anything over what we've, you know, designated with you at the time of purchase can impact the mobile terminal battery life. So that's always something to think about. But again, we kind of have a little thing here that makes you select the duration. So you're going to have to tell it when to stop doing this. But if you do it for a long period of time, you could see battery life drop. Okay. And then once I hit save, then that would change it. I hit save here, valid reporting profile. Sorry, no change. And it will circle, 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 custom reports available. I have a lot available to utilize. My asset ID, my serial number, a profile type I just changed. And in order for it to process, we have to see this status. See, I forgot to click off on a radio button. It's going to tell me where my error is. Insight's very user-friendly in that manner, where it'll tell you, you're not doing this right. Please fix the error and then come back and submit again. So right here, I have that it was submitted successfully. All right, so again, profile changes, we can use those, and they're temporary, need to be disabled. Why would I use them? In order to view an asset or group of assets at a higher frequency, and as they travel or as they carry high value loads or carry for high maintenance customers. So we will be able to view that then in the profile. When we're looking at the asset, the information that we're given for the asset, we'll be able to see that the change once it is submitted and takes effect on the device. On the next wake up, when it wakes up and receives this information, it will then start to transmit this data. So in our reporting, when we're looking at the status of our devices, we'll see it there in the report.
Hey, Sarah.
Yes.
So I know you said it, but I think it bears repeating.
Yes,
a lot of times folks get a little bit confused between, you know, what's the purpose of a wake up, right? And as Sarah mentioned, that yes, we can talk in both directions, but if you send a message down to the device, if the device doesn't, you know, wake up until for example, this device isn't waking up until 8 p.m. this evening, that means that device will not get whatever you are telling it until 8 p.m. tonight. So if, for example, you want to change the reporting profile to be more frequent, it's going to get that message the next time it wakes up and execute on that. So when you're changing a profile, oftentimes, like if you're changing the reporting frequency, you don't really need to change the wake up, because every time it reports, not only does it send, but it also listens, right? So really, wake up tends to only get changed if someone feels like there's a scenario where there might be a reason why they would have to reach out and ping the device for a certain situation. Otherwise, you really don't need to be messing with wake up. So
thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, and the asset will report or wake up the next time it starts to move after the setup has been registered by the asset. So patience is required, but you know, as long as that asset moves and the wake up happens and, you know, it's listening, like Debbie said, it's bi-directional. So it's not just talking to us, it's listening to us. And if there's a lockdown, once the lockdown is expired, so there can be a couple factors involved, but if there's a lockdown also, once the lockdown is expired, and I'll go over that shortly, then this custom profile would be accepted. So there are a few different scenarios that could go on that would let it make it a longer process for this custom reporting to happen. But yes, thank you, Debbie, I appreciate it. It's very important to remember. I think people might just sit here and wait for it, but you gotta, you gotta wait for that action to happen. All right, and I already have a question I see in my questions about this, and I will get to that. So custom profiles, again, not utilized heavily, and that's just really how to go into it and set them up, and the basics about custom profiles. But as far as utilizing this, sometimes you might need to consult with someone who works at SkyBits, right? So the customer care department, your customer success manager can consult with you on what makes sense, if it does at all. But again, it's there. We don't think a lot of people are necessarily utilizing the functionality, but we wanted to make sure that you understood just how it works and that it's, you know, that it is there. So, and thank you, Debbie, for that. That's a good thing to drive home. And as far as other profiles, we do also have a border crossing notification. So you would have to notify customer care that you wanted to add this to your account, because generally if you're not near a border, and that's never something that's a problem or an issue, you wouldn't ever need to use border crossing setup. But basically what it is it notifies you when an asset or group of assets crosses a border. So for example, Mexico. So why don't we just go into border crossing setup. We'll talk about this. Okay, so we do have a bunch of different borders. We do have, all these borders listed in here that we've considered. So what we would do would be to select the border crossing. Which one? So it's country exiting would be any, and then country entered would be Mexico. I'm sorry. And in your managed settings, your emails that are in there are the ones that'll, in your profile, specifically in your preferences, would be the ones that would come up here for the notification. Send border crossing email notification. Yes. And set to interval. So here is another section where we have to set up the interval that we want to know, of the border crossing, and we're going to continually know about it. For how long? And how many times a day? I want to see it 6 times a day for 4 days. Okay. And then here I would hit save. Okay. Country exiting, any, Mexico. We've done a couple in this account. And the email notification will come to the person or persons that are in that email setup in the preferences section. So manage settings and preferences, where your email is set up. That's where the email address comes from. And then it lets us know what we've just done. So the following border crossing setup changes were applied. Change wake up profile to 4-hour interval. So it'll wake up every 4 hours. And then reporting profile is 6 per day for 4 days. And I want the email notification to come to me so that I know that the border crossing has happened. Again, this is not something that automatically defaults in an account. You have to ask our customer care department for a border crossing. It is an international border crossing, so it would have to make sense. I mean, you wouldn't want to add this unless this is something that's an issue, but I believe we do have customers that their trailers do cross the border, and they should, but then we do have customers that their trailers or their assets should not cross the border, and they would like to be notified of that. So this will expire, so you have to be mindful of that right there, that the custom notification is going to expire. You can add the profile and remove it once you're done. Schedule how long you'd like the profile to exist in the asset group or the group of assets, excuse me. And then let's go to contact assets and profiles. So I do have the ability to then see, I'm going to pull up a slide. 1 second. Sorry. Oops, wrong slide. Sorry. I am able to view any violations of the border crossing and setups that were done in the past. So I'm able to do that as well. And I can cancel my border crossing profiles as well. So any that I have set up for which assets that I selected, I can then cancel them at this point. Okay. And then let's go to contact assets. And let's go to view custom moving profiles or change custom moving profiles. This is another feature that has to be set up by customer care to watch an asset more carefully. Again, as always, just like border crossing profile adjustments, anytime you want to change anything like that, you're really doing it for a reason. You're not just doing it, you know, to do it. You have to have a reason to do it. So you want to watch an asset more carefully, high value loads, high maintenance customers. Okay. So let's go to profile. Okay. All right. So in custom moving profile setups, it defines the behavior of an asset while it's in motion during the period of time specified as part of the setup. So that's for motion. We want to move it to be more visible when it's moving around. All right. And again, I'll use this profile. Hold on. Okay, and that's not working. So I just was trying to set it up and view it, and it was done. I'm just not sure. I'm not getting a reaction there. So I'm able to view custom moving profiles and setups at that point. And I can change custom moving profiles as well. So let's go. I'm sorry. Okay, and I'm able to view them. I'm able to customize them here at this point. And another way to make assets more visible is via Panic. So Panic is exactly what it says it is. It's a response to emergency or theft situations, and it requires that you have the ability, and they require you that you have the ability to track a trailer or container in near real time in order to intercept or recover it. Insight allows you to command a device to begin high frequency reporting on its next programmed wake up, as we had talked about before, after which it will report its position every 4 minutes for a period of up to 6 hours. So Panic is, I believe, utilized more than custom profiling is, more than border crossing, probably because of the nature of the border crossing information. But as far as Panic operations, let's go to activate Panic. This is pretty simple. Let's look at a group. We can activate Panic on a group. I'm not going to activate Panic on that entire group. Let's select an asset ID. I can select a serial number. Any of the available serial numbers here would be able to be activated for Panic. Activating Panic causes the mobile terminal to report at a high frequency, impacting battery life. Then it's going to tell you via different types of devices that we have and have had over the years. And it will ask me again. So this is one of those, do I really want to do this? It's going to impact and this is a solar device that I'm selecting. Do I want to activate the Panic? And I'm going to say yes. The Panic duration. And then I would hit activate Panic. Again, it's going to tell me the exact same thing. Yes, at this point, I think if you're going to activate the Panic on the device, you have said yes to this prior to doing it. But we really are trying to drive home the fact that you're going to very possibly impact the battery life. And then it would hit OK. And actually, what I want to say is, let's change it, because I only need it for 1 hour. Still says the same thing. And then once the panic mode has been completed on that specific device, meaning the request was submitted, panic mode was added for serial number and whatever one you selected, or asset ID, or whatever you needed to look at. Now, another topic to discuss here, we do have notifications. So we discussed on week 3, we do have notifications and alerts. They're emailed alerts, and you could miss them. Panic operations is when you decided you need a higher frequency of reporting to find the asset. So you're still engaging with Insight. You're sitting here looking for the wake up happens and it starts the panic mode, right? So the device listened and heard that there's a panic. So what we're going to do is then report over and over, and we're going to we have to make sure we can keep checking on the serial number, the asset ID, whatever you want. We'll just check on it to see up here. We would then, copy and paste it in here. And I want to see that. We can do a couple things up here, which I'll talk about in a second. But once we get this information, once this wakes up, it's going to then start to transmit the panic. So it's used to request unscheduled position reports. It will cause the asset to report position every 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the unit, until a cancel command is received. There's no way to force the asset to wake up, so I can't poke it to wake it up. It's going to wake up when it's scheduled, and then it's going to submit the report based on the schedule that I set. On the GXT devices and the GXL devices and any devices that you're looking at the serial number, common start, stop, and every 15 minutes while moving. So that's a common report every 7 days when it's not moving. So this is going to disrupt that, and it's going to give you a higher frequency report. And we can do this. So what I just did, you can also do up here. If I put that serial number in, activate panic here, because generally you're looking at one. There's a panic about the one device. You can do it with asset as well, serial number and asset. I can activate the panic and it'll go through those steps like I just did. I can also go here and look up the asset ID. So when I locate assets, asset-based search, I can look up a single asset just like most people are accustomed to. You can then also activate the panic operations at that point. So there are a few ways to do it. You don't have to necessarily go through all the steps of contact assets, panic operations, activate a panic. Usually when you're in a panic situation, you need it to be a little bit more smooth. So we allow you to do that here. It's just put in the serial, the asset ID, and activate the panic. So that's a little bit more quick, but you do have to go through those steps the same as you did in the drop-down menu. All right, and then let's go to contact assets, panic operations. We can cancel that one. All right, I believe I still have this piece. Nope, of course not. Here, and display. And it's doing that again. So I guess it wasn't the right one. Sorry. Okay. And then I can view panic. So what I want to do here is now go to the slide. So I don't have complete panic history where I was, but what I'm able to do is view panic and shows all panic requests for all assets. So anytime that I have requested panic operations activity, it stores that information. So we'll be able to see which asset ID I did the panic operation on, the serial number that corresponds, next wake up time. These are hyperlinks. The type is a panic, frequency of the reporting, the profile status, requested date and termination date. So I requested the panic and then it was terminated, and which user activated the panic. So you're able to then, as the administrator of the account, you're able to view everybody's panic activity. So that's a positive there. Okay, and then as far as paging goes, let's go to contact assets and paging. The mobile terminal operates most of the time in sleep mode, meaning it's not wasting its battery. It's programmed according to your requirements, as we have discussed already, to wake up periodically and check for pages. So it looks around for any kind of messages that we've submitted to it, and then it goes back to sleep. So again, it's preserving the battery. So when you're doing those, the panic operations are not something you want to continually utilize. And I do want to mention, if a device is not reporting, you cannot put it into panic mode because it won't respond if it's a non-reporting device. If that so happens to be the reason that you're trying to either page or set something into panic, I would say to contact customer care. I think most frequently I've been asked for paging. This device hasn't reported in X number of days. I need to know where it is. If it's not communicating with our servers and Insight, then we're not going to be able to communicate with it that way. So I want to be clear on that, because I think, like I said, that's probably the highest request I've gotten for paging from any customers. So you can page and receive a reply on the next wake up containing the current position of your trailer or container, and if it's loaded or empty. So if you have a cargo sensor on your devices, which a lot of our customers are utilizing our cargo sensor technology on our GXT 5002C device, it will also let you know cargo sensor. Okay, and request the page. Now, when you page, it's one report. Okay, so one report only. It's not a continuation like a panic. It's one time it's going to report back, and it will report back to an email if you would like, and you can put a note into that as well. Email or emails. And I would put mine in here, and I would put a note. But as always, if we're looking to page, we can then put in a group name. We can put in an asset ID in that group. So we're looking at the group, and then we can narrow it down to only those devices in the cargo trial section. Or as always, you can look it up by the asset ID specifically or the mobile terminal serial. All right. And here, if we're looking at the group name, then you would, any emails that were associated with that group would be in here as well. So we will be able to do that. And then once you have your asset ID selected, you can request for the page. And then let's copy and paste something in here. Let's give it a shot one more time. There we go. It's correct. Check here, and I would want to get that. And then I would want to say my trailer, and I would request a page for this. Page submitted for mobile terminal, and then this kind of defaults back to the way it was. But make sure that you see, make sure that you see page submitted for mobile terminal right here, and that would mean that the page was submitted. Once you receive the page back, that's when you know it's been transacted. But until you get that email, it's still being submitted. And again, if the device is not communicating to Insight, then it will not be able to respond to a page. We're not going to be able to poke the device to wake it up if it's not reporting at all. And we can do quick selects here as well. So as I had showed you, you can put in an asset ID or a serial number, and you're able to request a page up here. And same thing on serial. And then when you're also locating assets, you can request a page here as well. So you don't have to go through the steps, just wanted to show you where it is in its menu. Okay. And the last section that I wanted to talk about today was lockdown. So why would I utilize lockdown? Lockdown is very specific. It's landmark or position based. So it's basically like you're trying to lock it down in a specific area. The asset moves and reports a position outside of the landmark, and notification would be sent to the destination of your choice. So let's go in and look. So here it looks a little bit different. Of course, we still have all of our usual filtering criteria. And we would want to select let's just go down here a little bit and take the device. And we want to specify the lockdown location. So there are 3 bubbles here to select from. The lockdown location landmark. So if you're using your landmark to lock down this asset, then you have had added your landmarks to your account, either one at a time via an upload. We discussed landmarks a few weeks ago in Training Tuesdays. And you could narrow it down by country and then by state, and then you can find it. And I think I know. Okay, or by position. You can utilize latitude and longitude, and then or the latest position. So the latest position that the device gave you, you can use that as the lockdown location. Doesn't have to be specific landmark, doesn't have to be specific lat longe. It could be where it is, I'm locking it down in there. And then the lockdown radius, you have to decide the radius of the lockdown circle. So what you're going to then do is be able to be notified every 3 minutes when it leaves that location, the position either determined by latitude and longitude or latest, as I had mentioned. All right, and in order to receive email addresses and notifications, email must be set up. So to be notified via email, you have to be, and we've set up the notifications prior in a different section, but in order to be notified via email, then you'd have to go into manage settings and notifications email setup. So that email must be in this section in order for you to receive the notification of the lockdown breach. Okay, and if we're looking at group names, again, like I mentioned in the last section, if we're looking at a group name, anyone in that group that needs to be notified of this asset leaving the lockdown space, their email address would have to be in that group as well. So it would be in manage settings and in groups when you're setting them up. Add, edit, and delete is if you need to add somebody new to the recipient of any of these lockdown notifications. And it affects other notifications as well, but since we're talking about lockdown, I'm specifically talking about that. So in order to utilize this for landmarks, you'd have to have uploaded landmarks. Otherwise, you're utilizing position or latest position. And if you don't have any groups, you can't lock down the whole group. Well, what you do then is lock down an asset that's within that group. So that's kind of applying to all of the sections I went through. You're not looking at them all at the same time, but you're filtering via the group name. I think that might answer a question that Debbie already did answer that. All right. So as far as lockdown goes, we can also view violations. So we set up the rule, we can view, edit, and cancel it. We can just cancel the violations. The violations are when the lockdown has been breached, and then we can view violations. So I did prepare another slide for that. Okay, sorry. View, edit, or cancel a lockdown. So what you would want to do here is this will show all active that are in lockdown. You're able to change or end the lockdown here. So that was in the lockdown view, edit, cancel section. You would select the one that you're working on. If you have a couple in lockdown, then you want to make sure you select the correct one. And then you can change it, you can edit, or you can end the lockdown. So you have these two options at this point. You can make changes to the lockdown, because what you'll do is you'll start the lockdown and then you'll end a lockdown, and you can change it. And you can prematurely end it if you don't need to do it anymore. All right, and back to Insight. Okay, so we are 15 minutes. I just want to quickly review a few items that are in Insight that I review every week. Let's go to Analyze Assets and Asset View. Okay, so I'm in Locate Assets, Asset View. What comes up here is show me how. Asset view, first of all, is a newer section of the user interface. It's not brand new. It's been here for quite some time, but I'm not sure that all folks have been utilizing. So if you go into that section, again, locate assets, asset view, or asset list, depending on what you would like to see. We'll dig into this a little bit deeper in a couple of weeks, but if you want to see a map with all your assets on it, you'll look at asset view. List would be ultimately would give you the list of assets that you're filtering for. So what I have here are filters, and what I also have here is the most important part, is the show me how section. Show me how will walk you through parts of Insight that you're unfamiliar with, that we've just added. So anytime you see show me how, please click on it. I'm 100% behind this. I definitely want our customers to click around in Insight, and if show me how is there, click on Insight. Click on show me how. Welcome to the new asset view. So it's going to tell you about the section that you're in. You can use this feature to define the set of assets you want to use for decision making. As you see, this is steps 1 of 5. So my next step would then be to actually do something. So I'm going to filter. It's going to tell me what to do. And as I do it, once I submit it, it'll go to the next screen and pick up where I left off. And it tells me to, when ready, click submit. So I'm participating in the website at this point. And then there are a few other steps beyond step 2. So anytime you see it, click on it. They're never long, never tons of words, so it's not going to take up too much of your time. But show me how is a fantastic tool. And we always have help. So help right here. This guy can move around anytime you pick up, drag him anywhere you see the blue rectangle, you can then move this help guy there. When you log out and log back in, it will default back to its original spot. The help section gives you the ability to register for Training Tuesdays, asset view walkthrough, so you can walk through here. Gives you information on what browsers we support, installation and troubleshooting guides. That's really important. If you need to look up, if you need to ask us for those, they're all in here. So you don't actually have to call or email care. You can look in the installation and troubleshooting guides for that information. It does contain all of the devices. So if you need to have a question on which ones you have, you can either call or look in your dashboard, but we do have current and previous release information. Training Tuesdays videos are all here. And any past training videos that we have recorded are and reviewed are in training videos and webinar videos. You can also contact customer care as well. Let me close this up. Okay. So we have the last 12 minutes for questions. And I see Debbie did answer a question already, which is awesome. Thank you, Debbie. Sorry for my technical difficulties today. I didn't anticipate that, but I guess I always should expect if I'm using technology, something could go awry. So I thank you for bearing with me today on questions about the session, device profiles, panic operations, paging, and lockdown sections. Excuse me. Let's see, any more questions? Looks like JR's question was answered again. Thank you, Debbie. Appreciate it greatly. And any of these sections that you go into contact assets, if you're not seeing them appear, you can reach out to care. Sometimes your administrator, if you are not the administrator of your account, meaning really the person that all other users kind of report up to, it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your hierarchy at your company. It just has to do with the fact that you're the one who's maintaining the Insight account and the SkyBits devices. So if you don't see any, if some of these are missing, even when we get to border crossing, you may not have border crossing, or you may not have view profile, change profile. So your administrator can then set up the feature in your features panel. So reach out to your administrator, reach out to customer care. They would let you know, what needs to be done in order to get the functionality that you're seeking. I don't see any hands raised. kind of getting good at being able to manage that panel and see if anyone's asking any questions. And again, I apologize for any difficulties I had today with the presentation. I hope that you all learned some valuable information. If you need to check the profile and the reporting profiles of your devices for your account, reach out to your CSM, reach out to customer care. We'd be happy to let you know. We'd also be happy to give you some consultation on, if you should be using notifications, if you should be utilizing, border crossing, custom moving profiles, or, if you need to use panic or paging. Sorting through all of this information at once is kind of difficult. So in that respect, kind of take it in a little bit. If you feel like you're in a need for paging or panic, by all means, set that up. But if you feel like you need further information on those features, please, by all means, reach out to care, success manager. Even your salesperson would be happy to help you out with that kind of consultation. We're definitely here to help you out. So showing you the functionality is step one. Please dig in, utilize the functionality, if it applies, because we did see in this session today that some of these operations can affect your battery's life. So if there aren't any other questions, I don't see any hands raised. All right, and I will mention again, all of these sessions are recorded and put onto Insight in the Training Tuesdays section. They are also on the SkyBits YouTube channel. The SkyBits YouTube channel is filled with information and events that we've been to, and speakers from SkyBits who have participated in these events with fantastic information. And it never hurts to subscribe to the SkyBits YouTube channel. You get some good information, and a lot of it is, industry-based information, not necessarily about Insight or about our products. It will help you out with some industry information as well. So we want to thank you for attending the session today, and these sessions are about our customers. You're our partners, and we're trying to help you leverage the powerful tools that are provided. If you have any recommendations or ideas for future session content, please let us know, and we would be happy to put that together for you. We will do a poll, I believe, once the WebEx ends, we will send out a poll. Please participate in that. And we do have a few more weeks of Training Tuesdays. Next week, October 6th. I can't believe it's October already. Same time, same place. We will review how to manage your assets for maximum effectiveness and configure assets section. So without holding you up any longer, I'd like to thank you for attending again, and have a fantastic day and enjoy the rest of your week.